Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you very clearly. I think my mic's a little bit like that. It's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to let everybody in before they start leaving.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let me make you co-host. So let me do that first. Make co-host. All right, and I've got your slides. All right, ready to go?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, here we go. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Look at all of these people coming in. Still
They
more.
are so punctual, so on time, mashallah, so organized.
MashaAllah, very good. Welcome, 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 Hannah. Look at Tawsif
Oh,
Ali.
Hannah's always there, yeah.
Tawsif Ali's
I,
got a cat, a
I, d-
virtual cat.
Tosif has become the cat, it looks like. Not just got a cat, he looks like he's become the cat.
Good to have you all here. Still got people joining, so we're going to give another 30 seconds or so for everybody to be able to
Mashallah,
log in,
mashallah.
inshallah. And let's just see where everybody's at. So welcome everybody. Great to have you here. Jazakumullah khair, and we hope you've had an enjoyable holiday. And we were missing you guys, so we thought we better do a Quran story time. We always love doing our Quran story times at these holiday periods, and we've chosen a very interesting topic for you guys this week, inshallah. And we're going to speak about that in a short while. We're just going to just go round and say our salams to everybody. So parents, as per usual. Just a reminder, we are live broadcasting on YouTube. And it does make a difference if your kids can come on camera to their concentration and participation as well as ours. So
Yeah,
it'd be great if you can come on camera. We'd really appreciate that. Um, and children, do remember to rename yourself. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Zoom and how to name yourself and rename yourselves. So rename yourself with your name. So when we do call you out, then we do speak and you do raise your hand, we can call you by the right name, inshallah. And we're just waiting. I've got a couple of more people who are messaging saying or trying to get in. So we're just going to give them a few more seconds. But whilst we're doing that, we have Ustad Sahal with us. Ustad Sahal, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ustad Akhtar, I'm very happy to be here again,
Yeah,
talking about this fascinating story, which, even though it's one of the oldest stories in humanity, actually, then it still has so much relevance today, and there's still so much we can learn from it. And that's the beauty of the Quran. It never becomes out of date. It's as relevant today as it was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ.
yeah, we're very much looking forward to this, inshallah. We're just going to give another minute or two before we start.
Yeah.
How's your holiday been so far, Ustad?
It's been good, mashallah. It's good to have some time off, and it's good to catch up on your Quran, and been doing a bit of exercise because I don't really often had a bit of an accident, so I haven't been done much exercise, and now I'm getting back to doing some exercise. So it's been amazing actually,
Very.
and you can have a lot of fun without actually having to watch movies and being online. You can have a lot of fun without them.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a popular answer, but I'm saying, but let's see. We'll see what other people think, inshallah. But great to have you here. Jazakumullah khair. Brothers and sisters, young people, everybody, thank you for joining. Welcome to Quran Story Time. For those of you who've just joined, a reminder that we are live broadcasting on YouTube. If you want to share, parents, share this with your friends, neighbors, your cousins. You can share this Zoom link. They can join and participate live, as well as if they've missed anything, they can catch up on the recorded session of the YouTube session that we'll be publishing afterwards, inshallah. We can see a few of you on camera. Mariam's there, and Musa and Zaina is there, and Hannah is there. And we'd love to see more of you on camera. So those of you who have switched your cameras off, come on, put your camera back on, inshallah. Let's have your participation in here. And today's session is about a story called Habil and Kabil, maybe known as Cain and Abel. And this is a story we haven't really covered in many of the Quran story times. Um, I've lost count how many Quran story times we've done so far. Somebody's going to maybe have a look and go back and look at the website and research and tell us how many Quran story times we've been doing. But we've been doing this for almost 4 years now, alhamdulillah, since the beginning of COVID is when we started. So over 4 years, alhamdulillah. And this is a topic that we haven't spoken about before. And it's some points can be quite challenging. So we're going to need your concentration and your attention. And wherever you get stuck or you're not sure, you've got a question or something doesn't make sense, then please do raise your virtual hand, inshallah, and then we'll try and answer your questions as best as possible. But Ustad, let's crack on to start, inshallah, and we'll hand over to you and you can present this session. Then afterwards, we'll answer a few questions. Then I've got my quiz ready for you guys, so pay attention. And then if you've
Right.
got any more questions, then we'll try and answer them. And of course, we've got tomorrow's session as well. Speaker to be confirmed who that will be, inshallah. But we've got tomorrow's session at the same time as well. So over to you, Ustad. Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah, inshallah. Could you start the presentation?
Sure, I'll get that up. And let me just remove this and share screens. Okay, give me a second to just adjust this. Okay, Bismillah.
Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam, ala Rasulillah, Nabiyana Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. A big salam to everyone. Inshallah, really happy to be back with Quran story time. And we're going to take a story which actually is not that well understood and known as the other stories of the Quran. If I was to talk to you about the story of Musa alayhi salam, the story of Isa, the story of Noor, I think you'd already have quite a lot of knowledge and background information about it. But the story of Habil and Qabil is not as well known. And that's a shame because it's very relevant to modern times. And there's so much we can learn from this story. Now, let me start off with a question to you guys. Now, Ustad Akhtar, are they able to message and put their virtual hands up and answer questions?
They
Is that
definitely
okay?
can. They can message, or if you want them to raise their virtual hand, they can do that, whichever one you prefer.
Okay. So where in the Quran is the story of Habil and Qabil mentioned? Which surah?
Let's
Now, I
see
know
who
it's
raised. Yeah, let's have them raise their virtual hands, please,
okay.
so we
Yeah,
can
now I
hear
know
their voices.
yeah, very good. Some of you I know are doing your hifz. Where in the Quran is it mentioned, the story of Habil and Qabil?
Anybody know? Anybody wants to take a guess? I think the
Take a
chat.
guess. Yeah, you're not going to be in trouble if you get it wrong.
Okay, Umar's got his hand up. Umar, come off mute. Let's hear what you think.
Surah Al-A'raf.
Good try. Not Surah Al-A'raf. Any other tries? A good try, though. Not far off. Not Surah Baqarah.
Musa and Zaina think Surah Baqarah, which maybe is not quite the one. Getting close
Any other
though.
tries?
Is it in the first half of the Quran or the last half
Ah,
of the Quran,
there we
Ustad?
go. Yes, got it right. It's Surah Al-Ma'idah. Surah Al-Ma'idah. And
MashaAllah.
Sulaiman's got it now as well, mashallah. So Surah Al-Ma'idah is where the story of Habil and Qabil is mentioned. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started off the story by saying, and it's verse 27, Allah said, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ, which roughly translates as, recite to them. Let me just get the translation up. It's which means recite to them the story of the two sons of Adam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders us to understand this story, recite this story, and gain lessons from this story. And what's quite surprising is that the Quran does go into quite a lot of detail in what happened with Habil and Qabil. Now, that's quite unique for the Quran because the Quran often speaks in a very summarized form, in a very succinct form when it comes to stories, but certain stories it goes into a lot of depth. So there's around 5 verses in the Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes into great detail of what happened between Habil and Qabil. Now, the other thing to note is that you've got to have an understanding of who they both were, where they fit in history, and you've got to have an understanding about the story that comes before them, which is the story of Adam alayhi salam. So first of all, let's talk about Habil and Qabil. Now, the Quran mentions their story in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 27 to 32, but also Judeo-Christian sources mention the story of Habil and Qabil also. So sometimes the scholars of tafsir, what they do when they're explaining the Quran, for the kind of secondary details, additional details, they look to Judeo-Christian sources. And that was perfectly okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, when it comes to Judeo-Christian sources, do not confirm they are right and do not deny them, because we have no way of knowing for sure. But the important moral lessons are contained in the Quran. So this is a story actually where you'll find Judeo-Christian sources are very similar to the Muslim sources. So who are they? In the Bible, they're often written this way around: Cain and Abel. So Cain is Qabil and Abel is Habil. Well, in kind of Muslim sources, we often put them the other way around, Habil and Qabil. So don't get confused between them. Qabil is Cain, Habil is Abel. Okay. Now they are the two sons of Adam alayhi salam, his first two sons. And Qabil was the older son and Habil was the younger son. And Qabil was more of, used to look after livestock as a farmer. And Habil used to deal more with crops. So there is a difference in age and there's a difference in profession. So there is some differences in nature also between their characters, okay? But before we go any further, we need to go back a little bit in history. Although they are the two first sons of the Prophet Adam alayhi salam, we need to understand the story of Adam alayhi salam first. How Adam alayhi salam was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Adam alayhi salam was not born in this earth. He was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his own hands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him with his own hands. Now, why is that important? Because the norm is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates something, he says, kun fayakun. He says, be, and it is. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to create the universe, the mountains, the rivers, the oceans, he said, kun, be, and it was. It came into existence. But to show the honor and the respect for Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say kun fayakun. Allah created Adam with his own hands. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took time with the creation of Adam. The Quran describes around 5 stages with the creation of Adam alayhi salam, and the different types of clay which went through different phases before the creation of Adam. So first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Jibreel to the earth to gather clay from different parts of the world. He brought that together. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala transformed the clay into different stages until one point where Adam's lifeless body was drying out. Now, anybody who does pottery will know that when the clay is wet, it's very moldable, but then they leave it to dry. In fact, they put it in a furnace at very high temperatures and it dries out. So Adam's body had to first dry out, and it had no soul within that body. So it's lifeless, just human body. Now, when Iblis, the forefather of jinn, when he was also in the heavens, he went past the body of Adam alayhi salam, and according to one narration, he actually he kicked the body. So we see the start of a problem between Adam and Iblis. Okay, now those of you who've done some deep reading and know some background about this, why did Iblis kick the body of Adam? Why was Iblis, Satan, whatever different cultures call him, why was he kind of angry with Adam? Because Adam hasn't even come to life yet. He's just a lifeless body. Has anybody got any ideas?
Let's ask Hannah. Hannah.
Yes, go ahead, Anna.
He was scared?
He was scared. Well, I've never actually thought that. He was scared. That's a possibility. Naima says he thought he was better than him. Okay. That's really on the right track. Any other thoughts?
Let's hear from Said Yahya.
He was arrogant, Adam alayhi salam, during creation, so he thought, oh, I'm better than him, so why does he deserve better treatment?
Oh, this is excellent. This is really getting to the bottom of it. Yeah. He could see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving so much care to the creation of Adam alayhi salam. And there's a key word I'm looking for. So Saeed says angry. Iblis was angry that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this attention to Adam. Umar says hatred.
Let's see if a few others.
Oh.
So let's hear from.
Oh, there we go. Yahya.
Okay.
Saeed. iPhone. Yeah. Says it's jealousy. Yes, this is the key word. Jealousy. Iblis was jealous of Adam. Okay. Iblis was jealous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and well done to everyone who's got the correct word. Iblis was jealous of Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took so much care with the creation of Adam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. I will create on the earth a khalifa. A khalifa means a successor, somebody who takes control and takes charge after somebody else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Adam alayhi salam in charge of the world, that he will now be the most important creation on the world, in the world. And Allah will send prophets who will be from the offspring, from the descendants of Adam alayhi salam. And even Adam alayhi salam was a prophet. Now, Iblis was very jealous about this, because what a lot of people don't know is that before Adam alayhi salam came to this world, according to some narrations, we don't really know, we will never know for sure, but according to some reports, it was jinn that inhabited the earth, they ruled the earth, they were the supreme creation in the earth. But as the angels say in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, that why are you creating Adam as a Khalifa on the earth when we make tasbih of you? And they actually almost complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, you know, he will create bloodshed on the world, which means the jinn before, they did the same thing. They created bloodshed, they created a lot of problems, wars. So Iblis is very jealous. Allah is taking so much care with the creation of Adam. Allah will give the responsibility of prophethood to Adam and his descendants. Allah will give control of the earth to Adam alayhi salam. And what's clear is that Iblis's descendants, the jinn, that they have kind of failed their responsibility in the earth. They've created a lot of corruption, a lot of bloodshed. You know, they've not followed their responsibilities. So Iblis is very jealous. Now, that's not our story today, so I'm not going to go too much further into that detail. But this idea of jealousy is very important in the story of Habil and Qabil, and you can see a direct link with the story of Adam and Iblis. Okay, so you all know the story of how Adam alayhi salam was sent down to this world. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Adam alayhi salam down to this world, in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ وَعَلَّمَ, oh my God, I've forgotten the verse. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Yeah. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam the names of everything. Okay, let's move on. Next slide, please. Start after. So now when some of you, some young people, they get really confused about things like the dinosaurs. How comes, you know, we found fossil evidence of dinosaurs, but Adam alayhi salam was like the first human being, and kind of doesn't make sense to me because the dinosaurs go so far back in history. but human beings don't go that far back in history. Can somebody explain why does knowing that dinosaurs exist is actually perfectly fine and doesn't contradict any Islamic beliefs? How do we explain that? That we had Adam alayhi salam in history, but we also had dinosaurs in history, and what we know is that there were no human beings around when there were dinosaurs. Can somebody explain that to us?
Okay, let's have a look at who's got their virtual hand raised. So you can put your virtual hand up. Let's go to Said first. Go ahead, Said.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure, but I think that when Adam alayhi salam died, he was ascended into heaven by the angels, I think.
Yeah, but why would that explain, how do we explain the existence of dinosaurs? There were no dinosaurs at the time of Adam alayhi salam.
I'm not
Okay.
sure
Good
about
try.
that one.
Okay, but I saw a very nice answer actually. It was
Just going to hear from
Askia.
one others. Can
Yeah,
we?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's hear from
Yeah.
Umar. Umar, you've got your hand raised. Go ahead, Umar.
Because the animals were created before the humans.
Very good, very good. It's very clear, and I can see Imani's got it. I can see Asia had it very early on. That it's very clear that the earth already exists when Adam alayhi salam is sent down. It's very clear. So there were dinosaurs well before Adam, maybe hundreds of thousands or millions of years before Adam. There was a different climate, there was a different landscape. It doesn't contradict your Islamic beliefs in any way whatsoever. Yeah, so some people get really stressed out about this. Oh, dinosaurs, how come? Well, we know that there were no human beings at that time. Can you imagine trying to run away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex, or what's it called, a raptor? Yeah. Can you imagine trying to survive and pray when you've got those kind of creatures on the loose? So Adam alayhi salam comes down on a very late stage of the world. And the universe, the world, the cosmos, this is much, much, much older than human beings. So Adam alayhi salam is sent down to this world. And by the way, Adam alayhi salam was much larger than human beings are today. The Prophet ﷺ described him as 60 cubits tall, which is roughly the size of a lamppost. So he was much, much larger. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam the names of everything. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Adam down to this world, he knew how to survive. He knew everything. Otherwise, he would not have survived like more than one day. Yeah. For example, Adam alayhi salam, he would have felt thirsty. What does he drink? How would he know that he needs to drink water? Maybe he'll drink something else, which is poisonous. How would he know that certain animals are dangerous? How does he know about night and day, and that you work in the day and you sleep in the night? All that information which is taught to us by parents and through our society, Adam alayhi salam knew this already from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is what Allah told us in the Quran. He taught him the names of everything, meaning how to survive and what his surroundings and around them are. And Adam alayhi salam, he couldn't fulfill his mission of being a Khalifa on the earth and establishing the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and having a just society according to the law of Allah himself. Allah created Hawa, or Eve, from Adam alayhi salam, and both were sent down to this earth, and both created a family. They were together as a husband and a wife, and they had a child, or they had many children, which is very important to understand something. Yeah, we take this for granted, isn't it? We think, yeah, obviously, he had a wife and he had children. To fulfill your message and to fulfill the responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given Muslims, we need families, okay? So don't underestimate the importance of your family. We live in a time when everyone wants to be an individual, but your family, your parents, your uncles, your aunties, your brothers, your sisters, they're all very, very much important and part of your responsibility in Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just make Adam a Khalifa and leave him alone to it. No, he created Hawa, Eve. He sent them both down to this earth, and he created a system which is a family-based system. So now we go back to the story of Habil and Qabil. So Adam alayhi salam has children, and every time he gives his wife Hawa, Eve, every time she gives birth to children, she gives birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Now that's important to know to understand what happens between the two brothers. Now on the screen, it says something really important, which I almost forgot to explain, the fitrah, the fitrah. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates any human being, every human being that is born with a fitrah. The fitrah is the default settings of a human being. It's a bit like a computer. Some of you might be better with computers than I am, but each computer comes with default settings, original settings. Some Sumaya asks fitrat. Yeah, maybe some people pronounce it as fitrat, but it's actually correct pronunciation in Arabic is fitra with ta marbuta at the end. So human beings come with default settings. Why is that important? Because in Christianity, human beings have original sin, what they say, from the mistake that Adam alayhi salam made when he was prohibited from going to a particular tree in Jannah, and he was convinced by Iblis to go to that tree. They say from that time, human beings have something called original sin, which means by nature, human beings are sinful and bad. That's not what the Quran teaches us and not what the Prophet ﷺ taught us. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that every human being is born on the fitrah. So sins are something that you have to be tempted to do. It's not your natural way of doing things, okay? We all have weaknesses, we all make mistakes, but sins are not inevitable, okay? Don't think they're the norm. Don't think it's what everyone does. Don't think that you should go online and look at things which are inappropriate because everyone does it. No, not everyone does it. This is against your fitrah. Don't think that there's no point praying because most people don't pray. No, that's not normal. The norm is, the fitrah is, the default settings are that people turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they pray and they make dua. So it's very important to understand that as human beings, our essential nature is pure and it's good. But sometimes we get tempted and we make mistakes. Okay. Okay, next slide, please. So Hawa, she has a baby boy and a baby girl, twins. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, if there's only one husband and wife, how do kind of future generations get married? Because everyone's like brother and sister now, isn't it? Well, Adam and Hawa would have twins, and it was a boy and a girl, a boy twin and a girl twin, and it was prohibited, it was haram for them to marry each other. But when they would have the next set of twins, then the boy from one set could marry the girl from the other set, until the kind of generations were, more spread out, and, then the marriages would be very, very much separated. But in the beginning, in the early generations, the prohibition was that one twin could not marry the other twin. Okay. So now, his first son, Adam alayhi salam, is Qabil. Qabil by nature, so if you go to the next slide, Qabil by nature is a bit more harsher. His profession, his job is looking after animals, and he rears cattle and animals, cows, sheep, all this kind of thing. So people who do that, they tend to be a little bit more rougher. If you've ever, been to a rural area and you see a farmer who deals with animals, they tend to be a little bit more tougher and a little bit more harsher, because they have to control the animals, right? So you have to be a little bit strong to control animals. Not anyone can do it. Habil, who is now the next son, the second son, who's born in the set of twins, his main profession seems to be more to do with rural, looking after plants, growing plants, agriculture, okay? He's much softer in nature. So you've got two brothers with different natures, okay? Now that sometimes happens, isn't it? Even in your own families, you got brothers and sisters with different natures. And sometimes those natures can clash a little bit against each other. So this story is very important here for us to understand that some level of conflict, it's quite normal amongst families. It happened with the very, very first family, and Adam alayhi salam was a prophet. So it happened in the family of a prophet. Now, the law was that Qabil could not marry his twin sister, and Habil could not marry his twin sister, but they would marry each other's sisters to make sure the human family became wider and more spread out. Okay, there's a problem here. Okay, so Qabil's twin sister is much more beautiful than Habil's twin sister. So Qabil becomes angry and he becomes jealous. Okay, so we've heard this word before, jealousy. It's just happened one generation before with Adam and Iblis. And that's quite surprising that when we think of sins, we think of shirk, associating partners with Allah, kufr, disbelief, we think of murder, we think of riba, we think of gambling, alcohol. We don't often think of jealousy, but jealousy is the original sin. The first sin that Adam alayhi salam had to face, and then his sons had to face it as well. So Qabil is extremely jealous of Habil because the arrangement in terms of marriage, he's not happy with it. Okay, he doesn't like it. And already you can see that the brothers have a different nature, okay, quite different to each other. Now, on top of that, both of them, Habil and Qabil, are asked to make a sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you go to the next slide. Yes, so they both have to make a sacrifice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show their loyalty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from the beginning of humanity, sacrifice is something very, very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one surah of the Quran, he speaks about salah and sacrifice. I'm not talking about sacrifices, you know, when you give up time or you give up a bit of money. I'm talking about sacrifice in terms of slaughter. Now, does anybody know a surah of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about salah and sacrifice? Is anybody aware? Oh, someone was about to shout it out.
Let's hear from Maryam. Go ahead, Maryam.
Surah Al-Baqarah.
Oh, actually, Maryam's actually quite right. Surah Al-Baqarah does speak about salah and sacrifice. Very good. But I was thinking of a surah in Juz Amma.
Okay, let's hear from a few others. ZJ, oh, ZJ's gone. Let's go to Said's gone. Let's go to Hannah. Hannah, go ahead.
Surah Kawthar.
Very good, excellent. Very, very good. Surah Al-Kawthar. In Surah Al-Kawthar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice. So sacrifice is an act of worship which goes right back to the time of Adam alayhi salam. So they both asked to sacrifice. And in the very olden days before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you give a sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah accepts that sacrifice, then there's a fire which comes from heaven and burns up that sacrifice to show it has been accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Remember, in those days, there's actually nobody to give your sadaqah to. Yeah. There's no one around to give charity to. There's only one family. And, you know, they have everything they need. So Qabil, he sacrificed some of his animals for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he chose the worst part of his wealth, the worst kind of animals, the oldest, the sickest, probably the weakest, the feeblest. Now, Habil, he was different in nature. He sacrificed also. He gave away some of his crops, but he chose to give away some of his best crops out of respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a fire came from heaven that accepted the sacrifice of Habil, but the sacrifice of Qabil was not accepted at all. So now Qabil already is angry with his brother. They have a different nature. They had a disagreement over marriage. And now on top of that, to make things worse, his sacrifice is not accepted. So he now becomes incensed, angry, almost uncontrollably angry. And he actually threatens his brother. And in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِذْ قَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا فتقبل من أحدهما ولم يتقبل من الآخر قال لأقتلنك. And recite to them the story of the two sons of Adam with truth, when one of them gave a sacrifice, and when both of them gave a sacrifice and it was accepted from one of them and it was not accepted from the other one, and he said, لَأَقْتُلَنَّكَ, I will kill you. Okay, I will kill you. Wow, that's quite extreme, isn't it? He's taking it to another level now. This is not just brothers not getting on. He's now threatening to kill his brother, and he's very, very serious. Very serious. Allah mentions it in the Quran. And his brother responded by saying, قَالَ إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah only accepts from the muttaqeen. Now, one of the problems we have in our community is when it comes to charity, we kind of treat it as a way of getting rid of the worst things, okay? Now, some of you might know that people give away stuff to charity shops, yeah? And if you ever go there, normally what people do is get rid of the worst clothes. Yeah, sometimes those clothes are even dirty, they're ripped. And what they're really doing, they're not giving charity, just getting rid of stuff. They put it in a black bag and they dump it outside the charity shop. Okay, this is totally wrong. When you give charity, you're supposed to give either from your best or from your good stuff. Okay, so if you want to give away charity clothes, you're supposed to give away some of your best or at least your good clothes. Because why do you think that a poor person, if something's not good enough for you, why do you think it's good enough for a poor person? Yeah, if you don't want to wear it because it's ripped and it's dirty, then a poor person doesn't want to wear it because it's ripped and it's dirty. You're not better than a poor person. So when you give sadaqah, it's very important you understand this lesson, that you try and give from your best. You try and give from something at least which is good. If it's not good enough for you, then don't think it's good enough for a poor person. So Habil says, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah only accepts from the muttaqeen, the people who have taqwa. And Habil tries to convince Qabil not to do what he's saying. لَإِن بَسَطْتَ إِلَيَّ يَدَكَ لِتَقْتُلَنِي مَا أَنَا بِبَاسِطِ يَدِي إِلَيْكَ لِأَقْتُلَكَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. If you stretch your hand out to kill me, I'm not going to stretch my hand out to kill you. I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds. Yes. So Habil tries to convince him that, look, I'm not going to fight you. Yeah, I can see you're angry. You want a confrontation. I'm not going to fight you. Okay. If you try and kill me, then I'm not going to try and kill you. إِنِّي أُرِيدُ أَن تَبُوءَ بِإِثْمِي وَإِثْمِكَ فَتَكُونَ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ النَّارِ وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الظَّالِمِينَ. What I want is that you take your sin and my sin, and then you will be in the hellfire. And that is the reward for people who are oppressive. So Habil very smartly tries to convince him out of what he's doing. But according to some narrations, once when Habil is sleeping, Qabil comes and just smashes a rock on him and kills him. So that is a very sad event which takes place. It's actually the first sin committed by a human being in this world. It's not the very first sin ever committed, because that is Iblis. But it's the first sin which is being carried out in this world. And it's simply because of jealousy. Okay, that's it, jealousy. They're brothers. They're supposed to love each other. They're supposed to look out for each other. but the jealousy becomes so strong. And who is the one who's kind of prodding Qabil to do this? Who's the one who's giving him whisperings, telling him to do it? Who's the one who's trying to persuade and whisper in his ear to kill his brother? Who's the one who's doing it? Because where does Qabil even come up with that idea? There's not been any murders committed before. So who's the one who gives them the idea in the first place? Anybody got any ideas?
Let's hear from different people. Let's hear from Saeed. Same people got their hands up all the time. But go ahead, Saeed.
Iblis.
Yes, it's Iblis. Iblis was very jealous of Adam. Iblis's nature is to be jealous. So he convinces Qabil to do exactly the same. Be jealous of your brother. Your brother is always gets the best things. Your brother it gets treated better by parents. You know, the same kind of ideas that sometimes pop into our head because Iblis, Shaitan, is whispering in our ears. He was whispering in the ears of Qabil and Habil.
How long is it?
How long? Not too much longer. The Prophet ﷺ
How long is it?
actually mentioned that no soul is wrongfully killed, but that some responsibility for its blood is upon the first son of Adam, for he was the first to set the precedence of murder. So every murder that ever takes place in this world, the murderer is guilty before the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will be punished. But the son of Adam, Qabil, he will also get a copy of that sin because he's the very first one to do it. That's something really, really frightening. Okay, if you do a good deed and other people after you, they copy and follow that good deed, you get a copy of their reward. So they get rewarded and you get a copy of their reward. But now if you do something wrong and evil and sinful, and then other people follow you after that, they will get the punishment for that, but you'll get a copy of their punishment because you're the one who started that thing off. So you have to be very careful. Sometimes you might commit a sin individually and you can ask Allah for forgiveness, and inshallah Allah is most forgiving. But if you've encouraged other people to do it, that's a really huge problem because now you're getting a copy of their sin into your record and you'll have to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us all. Inshallah, in tomorrow's lesson, you will see what happens after he kills Qabil. You'll learn about some of the regret he felt, but not the type of regret which comes with Tawbah, but a different type of regret of feeling sorry for himself. You'll also understand, you'll also hear about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a ghurab, a crow, to Qabil to show him something. You'll hear the story about that, and you'll understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a ghurab, a crow. So inshallah ta'ala we'll stop there. Jazakumullah khair. Hope you definitely tune in tomorrow to hear the end of this story. But now I think Ustad Akhtar is our favorite part. Is that clear? Is that correct?
Excellent. Great presentation there. Jazakumullah khair. We're gonna take some quiz time now. So we need to see a few more people. Oh, everybody's come on camera now. Everybody's sitting up nice and tight. Everybody's put their camera on. Cyrus put their camera on. Hanaya and Yumna's put their camera on as well. And Musa as well. Well done. Good to see you all perky and ready to go. Let me see your fingers then. Let me see if you're ready. Shake those fingers for me so I can see that you're ready to answer these questions. And we'll have a look at what we can create with you guys together. So, got 5 questions for you. And go back to here and let's see how you guys do. And I can't remember if I think there might be one tricky one in there, but let's see how we get on, inshallah. So let's go with the first question. Which day is the best day? Because Adam was created and on that day, and it was the day that Allah put Adam on earth. We're talking about Adam before. Which is the best day of the week that Allah created Adam and chose Adam to come on the earth? Is it Sunday? Is it Monday? Is it Wednesday, or is it Friday? So is it A, Sunday, B, Monday, C, Wednesday, or D, Friday? Most of you have answered. A few of you haven't. So if you don't know, take a guess. Give it a go. Always give a try. And we'll give you another 3 seconds to put your answers through, which is the best day because Adam was created on that day and Allah chose him to come on the earth. Is it A, Sunday, B, Monday, C, Wednesday, or D, Friday? And let's have a look at the results here, Ustad.
Oh, very good, mashallah. 86% of you got it right. The correct answer is Jum'ah, the day of Friday. I noticed nobody put Monday because nobody likes Monday because that's the day you go back to school usually. But some of you put Sunday. That's the wrong religion. That's Christianity, which is the Sunday is the holy day. But Jum'ah is the correct answer. Friday, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. Well done for getting that right. Let's see if we can catch you out on our next question. Day 1 question. Let me find question number 2. Here it is. Okay. Who refused to bow down to Adam? Was it the angels? Was it Shaitan? Or was it the humans? Which one of these 3, A, B, and C? And those of you listening on YouTube, you can type in the chat box as well. A, B, or C. Which one is it? Who refused to bow down to Adam? Was it A, the angels, B, Shaitan, or C, humans? I think most of you have answered, and I think all of you, bar one person who always suggests something a little bit different, who we're going to ignore. Here's the results of start. What do you think?
Yes, very good, mashallah. I think one person's just being different for the sake of it, but 97% of you, mashallah, got the correct answer. It is, of course, Shaitan. He refused, Iblis, to bow down to Adam alayhi salam. But one thing, Ustad Akhtar, which I didn't mention, Iblis was actually in the heavens for 40,000 years, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was someone who had a very pious and religious past and was very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but just for refusing to bow down to Adam alayhi salam, just refusing one ruku', Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expelled him. And this is how dangerous jealousy and pride can be. It can ruin a lifetime's worth of good work.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Jazakumullah khair. Let's have a look at question number 3. What did Allah create Adam from? Was it clay? Was it rock? Was it sand? Or was it wind? So we mentioned a little bit about this right at the beginning. If you were paying attention, you might already know it. What did Allah create Adam from? Was it A, clay, B, rock, C, sand, or D, wind? A, B, C, or D? I think most of you have got this answer. Let's have a look at what you've got. Ustad, all of them have gone for A, or most of them.
Very good. Clay is the correct answer. It's very clear in the Quran, but mashallah, excellent. Very good.
Very good. All right, let's have a look at question number 4. See how you do on this one. Why did Iblis not prostrate to Adam? Because he thought he was only commanded for the angels? Because he thought he was better than Adam and was arrogant? Or because he was not there when Allah commanded them to prostrate to Adam? So which one? Was it A, because he thought he was only commanded for the angels and he didn't include him? B, because he thought he was better than Adam and was arrogant? Or C, because he was not there when Allah commanded all of them to prostrate to Adam? I think, again, all of you have got the answer. Let's have a look at what the results are. 97% Ustad sent B, because he thought
good.
that he was better than Adam and was arrogant.
Very good. Correct answer, 97%, because he thought it was better than Adam. And arrogance. And arrogance, where you think you're better than others, this is very, very dangerous. All of us make mistakes, but when you do a mistake because you think you're better than others and you think you've done nothing wrong, that's very, very serious. It's the very first sin.
Yeah, very true. Okay, last question for today. Might make them a little bit harder for tomorrow. I think I've given you some easy ones.
Far too easy,
today.
They're far too easy.
Yeah. What knowledge did Allah give the Prophet Adam after he had created him? What was that special knowledge? To name all the things around him, to raise people from the dead, to cure the sick and ill, or to make storms come? Which was the special knowledge that Adam was given to prove that to demonstrate to the angels? Was it to name all of the things around him, to raise people from the dead, to cure the sick and ill, or to make storms come about? So let's have a look. And again, I think most of you have answered this correctly. Give you 5 more seconds to answer. Put an answer, give it a guess, even if you're not sure. And let's have a look at your results. And again, big show here.
Okay,
9-4.
mashallah. Mashallah, very good. Oh, my whole
Your
result. Oh, there we go, yeah. Correct answer, 94%, to name all the things around him. So Adam alayhi salam could survive, so he knows what everything around him in the world is. Very good, mashallah.
Excellent, very good. Those was our questions for today. Gave you some quite easy ones. Don't get
I
used
think
to
to
it,
start
everybody.
tomorrow, I think we're gonna have to definitely make them harder.
I'm gonna have to
Keep-
raise my game tomorrow to catch some of you out. So be
Yeah.
ready. Tomorrow's one's gonna be like, gonna ask some astrology questions and some complicated maths questions with Pythagoras theorem and etc. and so on. Gonna try and catch you out. But look, it's really great, mashallah, that you've all come today during your winter holidays and joined our sessions. We're gonna have another session tomorrow at 6 p.m. The conclusion. And before we say salam to each other, does anybody has any questions? We've got about 4 minutes. If you've got any questions that you want to ask, either on this topic or anything that you're just wondering about, that you wanted to ask, now's a good time for you to raise your virtual hand and ask a question, and we'll try and give you an answer and help you with that. Okay, let's have Mariam go first. Go ahead, Mariam. What's your question?
What happened to his brother?
Which brother?
Cain and Abel,
And
Habil and Kabil.
yeah,
Which brother are you asking about? Qabil or Habil?
Habil.
You can't tell
It's a
them.
bit.
You have to wait till tomorrow, Mariam.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. That's like a cliffhanger, isn't it, Mariam? Do you think you can wait till tomorrow?
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
that's the
sure?
whole point of tomorrow's
Yeah.
session. Can't tell them,
Yeah,
otherwise they won't
make
come.
sure you tell your parents. Look, log on. I need to know. This is very important. You're not gonna get scared, are you? It might be a bit scary. Okay, right. Okay, that's good.
Right, okay, well done. Let's hear from Naima. I think, Naima, go ahead. What's your question?
What did Adam alayhi salam do when he realized Qabil murdered Habil?
That's a good question. We don't have any information about this. What was the response of Adam alayhi salam? We don't have any information in the Quran. And when something's not mentioned in the Quran, then it usually means that there's no point us knowing. It doesn't have any important, valuable lessons for us. So it's a good question. I've often thought about that myself. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't mention it, it means that it doesn't have any relevance to us or importance to us. However, if we were to look at another example, which is Yaqub and his sons, the sons of Yaqub, they threw Yusuf down the well. And they then came back to their father, and their father knew they were lying. But the father, he still looked after his sons. He still brought them up, even though they had killed their brother. As far as they were concerned, they didn't actually kill him. So sometimes, as parents, you got no choice. You have to carry on. You have to keep on looking after your children, and you have to keep on moving on with life. So we simply don't know. But from other examples, we can see that even when a serious mistake is done by the children, parents still have to carry on and look after them and try and guide them.
Very good question. Excellent. Well done. Umar, what's your question, please?
Because all the plants and animals, they chose to be Muslims and not have free will. Who chose for the humans? Because we chose to have free will. So who is the person who chose for us?
Okay, very good question. First of all, human beings and jinn, they have a free will which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. This is not, it's not that kind of we chose to have that free will. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that free will. Human beings and jinn, they're the only two creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which are held to account for their free will. All other beings in Allah's creation, whether they be animals, plants, mountains, rivers, all of these other aspects of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, they have no free will. And that wasn't a choice they made, that's the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. So I hope that's clear. It wasn't really a choice, it was how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created different species, different parts of the universe.
Okay, last couple of questions. Let's go to Asia. Asia, go ahead. Asia, come off mute.
So why did people in the olden times
I missed
give
that.
crops and sacrifice things to Allah?
Oh, very good question.
Why did people
Why did people sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yeah.
Very good question. It's to show how much you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you have things that you love, okay? Things that you own. So when you give them away for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're showing that you love Allah more than these things, okay? And another good example of that would be Ibrahim alayhi salam. He loved his son Ismail. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered him to sacrifice his son, to show that Allah's love is more important than even the love of his son. So that is why we sacrifice, to show that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anything else.
Okay, two Saids. Let's go to the first one first, and then we'll go to Said Yahya afterwards. Go ahead, Said.
How powerful are jinns?
Oh, that's a good question. How powerful are jinn? You've actually asked a question which is really simple, but its answer is quite deep. So human beings, they have intellectually, in terms of their mind, they are much stronger than jinn. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Intellectually, in terms of our mind, we are much stronger than jinn. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the risala, the message of Islam. But physically, the jinn are far more powerful than human beings. So they can transform themselves, they can travel distances at the speed of light. There are some very powerful and strong jinn. So they are very different in nature. Human beings have the kind of intellectual capability, and jinn have the kind of physical capability. But what's really important is that you do not at any point start to feel creeped out, freaked out, and scared of jinn, because that excites the jinn a lot. They really enjoy that, because they're very jealous of human beings. Yeah, it's not just Iblis and Adam. Right till today, the jinn are very jealous of human beings, that Allah gave us the risala, gave us the message, gave us prophets. We kind of rule the world. So when we start to get really afraid of jinn, as it's mentioned in Surah Al-Jinn, and we ask for their protection, as people do when they carry out black magic, they get very excited and they get very happy, okay? So it's a kind of silly way of thinking about it, but they sometimes behave like children, like really, really naughty children. They do really naughty stuff to kind of mess around human beings' lives and to create chaos in our lives and to disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we are intellectually more powerful and they are physically more powerful.
Okay, last question. We've only got
Jazakallah
1 minute
khair.
left. Let's go to the other side. Said Yahya, very quickly, what's your question?
Did Adam alayhi salam find out about Abel being murdered?
It's very similar to the first question we had. The reality is we don't actually know, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not mention to us. And this is part of the ghaib, the unseen. We don't know. So we don't exactly know what happened, how it happened. But I think we can safely assume that he would have known, yeah, that his son has been killed. because tomorrow's story you'll learn about what happened and how the body was, what happened to the body. So it would have been safe to assume that Adam alayhi salam would have known.
Okay, it is 7 o'clock. So those of you still got questions, then keep them for tomorrow, inshallah. And we'll try and have them then, inshallah. But we're now gonna say salam to you all, allow you all to unmute yourselves and say salams and finish for today, inshallah. And then we're going to see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. inshallah. So assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum, guys. Alaikum. See you soon. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum
Wa alaikum assalam. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.